What's going on, Echo Chamber? Day 2 of ATPT across the plane today. The first live episode. Quite an interesting day. Hope y'all had a good one. For me, just around the house, doing my normal duties, taking care of business, and always thinking about the future and how I plan on getting to where I see myself. But to start off with, today I want to talk about the hot topic of the day, which is Roseanne Barr and the wonderful things she said about a former Obama aide. Well, first off, for me, it just seems kind of, like people were saying, she had all these inappropriate tweets before, all these inappropriate comments, and ABC, knew what they were getting themselves into, blah, blah, blah. And I've seen people argue about, well, what's the difference between what she said and what others say about President Trump? Which, by the way, I am not a particular fan of. I'm not a particular fan of politics to begin with. I enjoy science a lot more than politics. That's why I didn't study politics in school, and really didn't care too much about it, and I don't think very many people did until recently. But yeah, so Roseanne said that stupid stuff, and I mean, come on, Roseanne, you're employed by a company owned by Disney. Do you really think saying racist, bigoted, ridiculous remarks were just gonna fall on deaf ears on corporate head dudes that make all the decisions at Disney, whose company is world renowned for inclusion and equality, and that's the stuff they try to put themselves out there to represent, of course, and they really put a big step forward by letting Roseanne go. And I don't feel bad for her. She brought it upon herself. I mean, she should have, that whole freedom of speech, blah, blah, blah. But, you do have freedom of speech, but you also got to understand what you say is likely going to be heard by your employer. And they have the right to distance themselves from you. I wonder, though, if she would have, in that tweet, put an asterisk and said, my views are not representative that of ABC, Disney, blah, 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 if that would have saved her. It's almost like saying, allegedly, with a lot of these talk shows at night, the stuff they talk about, they'll blab away about something and then they'll have to say allegedly because it keeps them from being in trouble legally. And it almost seems like you can just throw in that fine print, the legalese, and get away with pretty much anything you want if you know the law. So Roseanne did that. It was a hot topic for the day. It was also ironic because it fell on the same day of the Starbucks mandatory training for what went on with the arrest, when they had 2 black men arrested for just sitting in their store. Kind of crazy. There's one thing that I really don't get about people's mentalities, about other races, cultures, and, whatever, ethnicities, minorities, you're just different people, different backgrounds, different growing up's different, everything. We're all different. But I just don't get how there can be extremists like Hitler and uh, Mussolini and obviously those are like the far end of the extreme. They were just actually slaughtering millions of people to try to make their vision a reality. But the vision they were striving for is just so unattainable. I mean, to think about an entire world full of the same blonde hair, blue-eyed, Aryan, whatever, whatever group you're trying to pull for, to try to be the main dominant, we run everything, we run the world show, like, it's never happened, it's never going to happen. People are never going to just sit around and let you walk all over them. They might let it happen, for a while. But our human spirit is never going to allow us to be under somebody's thumb for any real extended period of time without the help of other, I guess, entities. But even then, and that kind of stuff, I'm kind of thinking about slavery. There was a lot of help to keep slaves, obviously. But even for slavery, that's just it just doesn't work. I mean, it might work in some areas, in some parts of the world, because they got some kind of backwoods way of life and thinking with zero empathy. But it'll never be a worldwide, what's the word I'm looking for? It'll never be accepted. It will never be lauded around the world. Yeah, let's have slaves. Yeah, let's have just one race of people and kill all the others off. It's mind-blowing how people could even think that and try to put an agenda together or a plan to make it happen, and how they round people up. And just with like the people marching in the streets in Charlotte with their tiki torches, singing all kinds of white supremacist crap. That shit's just a joke, man. Like, have you never, nobody ever taught you history? Like, do you understand what those people were trying to do? It's just, I don't know. People are something else, I tell you. So Roseanne did all that, caused a major backlash, and it wouldn't surprise me if she were able to have her show picked up somewhere else, whether that be just her producing it on her own, putting it on YouTube or another site, because the interest is there, and probably even more so now that she said all this crap. But yeah, like I said, I feel more sorry for her co-stars and all the other people who lost their jobs because of that foolish, stupid, it's just bad taste. I mean, people are saying, what's the big deal? She was joking. It's just bad taste, man. You don't say those things when you have millions of followers, and I'm sure there's lots of people who are famous who think those things all the time, but you don't see them, yeah, they might not all be comedians, but you don't see them putting that shit on blast on Facebook or Twitter. So she got what she deserved. Simple as that. And yeah, I guess that's it for the whole Roseanne thing. It's just kind of funny how it all played out. Another thing I wanted to talk about today was our culture. You know, we live in such a um, hypocritic culture, I guess. You know, a bunch of hypocrites. Because all you ever hear on the news and all the, you know, all this everywhere basically about anti-bullying, don't make fun of people, don't fat shame, don't do this, don't do that, you know, think about other people's feelings. And it just kind of blew me away that we we put on national TV a 30-year-old guy who lives with his parents, and just because his parents took him to court, and we're basically publicly humiliating this guy nationally, whenever this happens all over the country all the time. Like, it shouldn't be national news just because, yeah, you know, the very rare occasion instance where the parents wanted him out so bad that they took him to court to get his ass out. But I mean, come on, you can't have a segment on anti-bullying, care about your fellow man, and then 30 minutes later have a segment on, hey, look at this guy, let's make fun of him, and oh, he lives with his parents and they took him to court because he don't want to get a job, ha ha ha. Well, obviously they're not laughing, but they state the facts, and you know, have all those smart ass remarks and tones and their body language. And so, yeah, it's like, you know, these are the kind of things that I think about, and it's just weird to me. But yeah, I mean, I basically didn't, well, I didn't live with my parents basically my whole, I lived with them my whole life, except for until I got out of high school, and lived with my sister while I went to school for a little bit until I got some roommates and got a place of my own. And I think that's kind of probably the normal way most people go with it. Just a bunch of high school graduates, friends, get placed together and try to make it in the world in this grind out here. And it's tough. A lot of people don't make it. And don't know how to get out of the grind, out of the daily shit, and that's kind of where I was. And that's why I joined the army. Just got tired of that daily grind, the same old routine. This shit is soul sucking. And oh, another thing I want to talk about that's been bothering me is the shit y'all share on Facebook, man. God damn. Y'all need to realize most of that shit y'all are sharing is fake. I mean, come on. That's like the ultimate it's just, I mean, just think about what you're sharing with some of this stuff. Like, people were sharing like crazy that dog being tortured with a oxyacetylene torch, being burnt alive. It's very graphic stuff. And it was being shared by some petition news or stop the Chinese from eating dog eating festival or some stupid fucking shit. And it's like, yeah, let's sign this petition to stop a Chinese dog eating festival. Number one, what makes you think anything we do, any kind of stupid paper we sign, here in America is going to stop people, common, rural people in another country from doing whatever the fuck they want. I mean, and if you understood that there are some countries that eat dog, then maybe it wouldn't be too much of a surprise to you that their dog is being, that dog being tortured probably isn't going to be eaten. It's probably just a video of a dog being tortured with a dumbass headline sensationalizing something and being shared like crazy on Facebook. Obviously Facebook needs to do their job too. They're supposed to be doing a better job of this shit, and I haven't seen it in a while, but damn, man, come on. You see that shit? Don't share it. You're just helping make the problem worse. You should have a little bit of sense. Take a second to think, like, yeah, that's fucked up what's happening to that dog, but man, well, sharing this, if I hit share, will anything really change? Chances are no. And that goes for good things and bad things. And it's basically like hitting the lottery, People get lucky, go viral, and people get lucky, get their story noticed. People get lucky. I'm definitely not one of them. I can tell you that much. But hey, maybe it just hasn't been my day yet. Maybe it hasn't been your day yet. Just gotta keep getting up every day and going out and working your ass off, whether that be at your regular 9 to 5, at school, whatever you do. Gotta stop making excuses. And I think we are our worst own enemy. We're so self-critical about a lot of things that we do, especially me growing up. I was always, I guess, worrying about, it's hard to say. I didn't really care too much about what others thought of me, but yeah, I don't know. There are just too many things that have happened that are hard for me to process. Because a lot of my growing up, I would look at people and be like, why are you doing that? And I think it's probably what a lot of kids think when they see their parents do things. Like, what makes you think that's a good idea? Doing the things you're doing, being self-destructive and not even noticing it, or being around family members that are enablers that don't even know that they're enabling. I think that's probably a epidemic across the country, is enablers enabling without even knowing they're enabling. What's going on? What's going on? All right. Well, yeah, so back on that. It's just, we are bombarded constantly with ads and propaganda, I guess you could say, that has just brainwashed us since it's been going on for so long, to thinking that the way we're living now is sustainable. There's no way this way we're living now on this earth is sustainable in the near future. I believe in the next 50 years, in 50 years from now, the earth will be lucky if things are trending the way they're trending now. By the year 20, the earth is not going to be a very lovely, nice place to be. And it's kind of sad that we can, as our technology exponentially got better, faster, more efficient, it almost seems like it's exponentially leading us to, the unsustainability of it all is also becoming exponential. And it's kind of scary. But, just gotta hope for the best, man. Just gotta hope that we pull through, we pull together, all of us, all over the world, and realize that we're all on this ride, on this giant ball of rock and all kinds of great things flying through, and just flying through space at thousands of miles an hour. I think I heard on PBS Space Time that on the little arm we're on the galaxy, in our galaxy, to make a full rotation around the galaxy takes a little over 100,000 years, like maybe 123,000 years or so. And that's kind of, that seems kind of fast to travel that amount of distance and a shorter amount of time than it takes for, species to evolve. Was it 100,000? It was 100 million. I don't know. PBS Space Time, though, it's a great channel. Highly recommend it. What else can we talk about? Okay. Well, along with all that stuff, I was just talking about these storms. They just, kind of more breaking news from today was that the death count in Puerto Rico is way higher than they expected, closer to like 5,000 than 500. And that's no surprise to me. I mean, the most powerful storm ever recorded, heading straight for a little tiny little island in its direct path. That's total devastation, man. That's dropping nuclear bombs like crazy. Dropping nuclear bombs over a sustained period on this little island is basically what happened. And yeah, 5,000 people dead. Still don't have power. Still having so much trouble over there. And it's sad because they're going to try to rebuild and make things better, and it's only going to happen again. And it's only going to get more powerful. There's no way we can create anything that's going to be able to withstand the force of those storms that batter that island for the years to come. Where I got this, actually, went to a moving sale here recently, and showed up to the moving sale and talking to the guy, and I asked him where he was moving to, and he said Puerto Rico. And the day before, I had just watched a Daily Show with Trevor Noah. Watched the episode where he's doing his little one-on-one interview with the governor of Puerto Rico. I'm not sure exactly which politician it was of Puerto Rico. It was a male, so I know it wasn't the mayor. But whoever they were just talking about how they want to, since the island is completely destroyed, they want to create it as the most, rebuild it as the most technologically advanced island that there is, to be able to withstand storms and do all that good stuff. And I'm thinking, like, that's an ambitious goal. It's a very ambitious goal, and I hope that there's a lull in the storm seasons that would allow them to be able to build up with, because to be able to do something in a few months' time that's going to be the most technologically advanced stuff on Earth doesn't seem very realistic. But I guess if you poured enough billions of dollars into resources for that little island, maybe you could make it happen, but not very likely. So, the first thing I asked him when he told me he was moving, I asked him if he was an engineer, and he said, no, I deal with real estate. I buy property, buy houses, fix them up and flip them. And I just instantly thought, like, oh man, not a good investment. It might seem like it because you're going to get to land cheap right now because it's all destroyed. But nothing's going to last there, man. Everybody's going to have to get out of those islands. Cuba, Puerto Rico, all of that place, man. Even the coast, Florida. Gonna have to move away from Florida, Paul. I told you, man. Told you, buddy. And if you live in these places and you don't have 200 gallons of water for your family, Einstein. What the hell are you chewing on, dog? Come here, boy. Yeah, so prep those supplies. If you're gonna hunker down, prep supplies for you to get stuck in traffic when you're trying to evacuate. Prep supplies, because you gotta take care of yourself and your family. But yeah, so that guy said he was moving to Puerto Rico. It's not a very smart move. These storms are gonna get more powerful. I'm just, we've been very fortunate to not have a major tornado hit downtown Dallas or Fort Worth or Houston or any of those major cities in Tornado Alley. A lot of places in Arkansas and Tennessee, all those storms pushed that way. And I mean, obviously we had those powerful storms not too long ago, that F5 that killed a lot of people in Missouri, I think. These storms are getting bad, guys. It's not a joke. Global warming is not a hoax. Climate change. And it happens naturally, yeah, but we're accelerating it with all the shit we pump in the air. I mean, if you don't think it's easy to pump shit in the air and make it a bad day, sit in your garage with the car on and the doors closed, it doesn't take very long to have a bad day when you pump a bunch of bad shit in the air. Now imagine that times 7 billion. Actually, times more than that, because we leave such a large carbon footprint for each of us. So, yeah, man, unsustainable. It's the way we live. It's kind of mind-blowing to think about. You know, all you got to think about is like the garbage patch in the ocean, the massive piles of junk in other countries, in our country too. Hell, my ranch too. My ranch alone was, you could probably see the junk on my ranch from space. It wouldn't surprise me. Because people who are dumb, who get coked out of their minds and think they know it all, they make bad decisions, plain and simple. I don't know if there's such thing as a functional cokehead. I know functional alcoholics. I know functional stoners. I don't know very many cokeheads to begin with. I mean, that's probably a big part of why I don't know any functional ones. But I really don't think it's possible. If you know a functional cokehead, I would love to hear a functional cokehead story. Because, man, I mean, yeah, and I'm talking, of course, long term. You know, someone can do coke and clean their room or do something productive, but hold their life together and enjoy their vice. And, well, okay, you know, I can't say alcoholic, obviously, right? You know, alcoholic is kind of a term associated with people who can't hold their life together. So, people who really like to drink, who can hold their life together. And I guess that's kind of subjective, right? Holding your life together, but yeah, never been a fan of cokeheads because I've always been a stoner. I'd be at a party high out of my mind, chilling, and watching cokeheads bounce off the walls was just frustrating to me, because it's like I'm just trying to chill and you're over here, you can't stop moving, you're jumping around all crazy, like you're just not there, you're not yourself, I'm sure, when you're that far gone. And for me, I chose cannabis at an early age. I spent a summer with my aunt in Tennessee, and her neighbors, her neighbors had some kids around my age, so I'd party with them. And I knew them from before because I'd visited a few times in like elementary school, and so I, you know, built that relationship with them while we were young. And then I came to visit one summer while I was in high school, and of course they liked to party. So one night I went out and I got really drunk and high with them, and it was probably one of the worst nights of my life in the terms of partying and being smashed. And like the entire world was just, I was so drunk and so high, the entire world was spinning, and it was a bad night. It was a very bad night. I can go into greater detail about a few things that I remember from that night on another night. But for now, it was just know that it was one of my worst nights of my life in terms of that. Really probably my first somewhat, not full blackout experience, but somewhat blackout experience. And the next day I told myself that was the dumbest thing ever. I'm never gonna do that again. And so that meant that I couldn't smoke weed and drink heavily at the same time, so it was going to be one or the other. And I chose weed because it made the most sense to me. It was cheaper, it was easier to get, it was better, you don't get hungover, you don't feel like shit, it doesn't take as long, you don't have to sit there and try to chug 2-3 beers, or it's better all around. Obviously, right? Everybody knows weed's better than alcohol. And so yeah, so I just started getting high from then on out. Basically, I did it a little bit my freshman year, and I was too open about it with, and my girlfriend's parents found out, who were basically my family, because it was high school and I was living with my dad, which meant I didn't really have a parent, so they were basically my parents and family. And yeah, they said, no, don't be doing that. That's not a smart move. And so I listened because, like I said, they were basically my family. And yeah, then, after we broke up when I was a junior in high school, we broke up, so I started smoking weed again. And I pretty much didn't stop until I joined the Army. And then I didn't stop when I joined the Army. I would get high when I would go on leave for a few days at the beginning of the leave, so that way I could enjoy it for a few days and get clean. 3 days, 4 days, and then there towards the end of the deployment, or towards the end of my enlistment, there was one Christmas when I just pretty much got baked the whole leave. And yeah, been doing it for as long as I can remember, just about. Like I said, except the military days and here and there, stopping for whatever reason. And yeah, so that's kind of how I ended up being a stoner, I guess you can say. I guess that's kind of what I was known as in high school. We got anything else on the board? Let's see. Oh yeah, we got one more thing. And then we can shut this party down. Alright, so with all this politics stuff these days, I mean, that's basically all what people talk about. And I'm not a big fan of politics, like I've said. But I will put my 2 cents in about the situations and stuff that are going on. And this whole Michael Cohen, Donald Trump's attorney, being raided by the FBI, I think it's the ultimate test of how fucking dumb you are. They are. Because it wasn't just like they were the first ones, and Michael Cohen was the first one that Mueller picked up. He picked up a few of the other cabinet members first. And I mean, if they pick up one and you don't do anything to get rid of any evidence you have of any wrongdoing from any time that you can, whatever records you have, I could understand, okay, after 1. But after 2, then that's just like the ultimate, how fucking dumb can you be? And it wasn't 2, I think it was like 3 or 4 before they picked up Cohen. Like, if you weren't smart enough to know that there was a good chance that they were gonna come for you after the people who you rub elbows with almost on a daily basis have been snatched up. I mean, that's just the ultimate how dumb are these people tests, you know, like, yeah, if you didn't destroy that shit before, way before they raided you, you know, it's your own fault. I mean, you shouldn't have been doing this stuff to begin with, obviously, right? Should have just enjoyed your riches and made them legitimate. But, yeah, the house is burning down around you, man. Are you gonna get out with your stuff in one piece, or are you gonna go down with it? Seems like they're probably gonna go down with it. But who knows, we'll see. Like I said, this is the barometer, this is my barometer for the administration. And yeah, like I said, you know, I'm not a big fan. I don't really care too much. I'm not a fan of Hillary Clinton. I was a fan of Barack Obama. Barack Obama, yeah, I mean, he did his wrongs, but every president does their wrongs. Seems like most, you know, some have more wrongs than others, you know. The severity of their wrongs. But yeah, I guess we can start to wrap this beast up. Tomorrow, what's tomorrow? Wednesday. Hump day. So everybody, have a good night. Catch you tomorrow, Echo Chamber. How do I stop this thing? X?